NASCAR rolls into Michigan this weekend. The battle for the Michigan Heritage Trophy rages on. I am joined by Ryan Stevens of wintherace.info. Ryan, I think we just need to start off with Denny Hamlin, because of course I look at who's got the best average finish at Michigan in the next gen car. Could be Kyle Larson, no, it's Denny Hamlin, 4.0. He's got a 4.0 GPA at Michigan over the past few years. He's the defending race winner. He's the most recent Cup winner this past weekend at Nashville. How high are you on Denny Hamlin to start this week?
Denny is just in a tier of his own to start this week. Looking at the, like 670 horsepower intermediates this year, I think that's the closest thing we have to what we've ran in 2026 to Michigan and what we're going to see speed-wise. He's 4 for 4 in finishing in the top five, the only one to do that in the series. Three of those finishes have been in the top three, including a win. He's ran over 70% of his laps inside the top three in those races. The next best is in the low 40s. So he's just on another level. And then you look at Michigan, like you said, second best average finish here over the last three Michigan races. Those are the three that I'm mainly looking at this week. Won the last time we were here. I mean, he's just the rightful favorite. And when we simulate this race, it shows, he's in a tier of his own.
Well, Michigan International Speedway is just a short drive away from Motor City from Detroit, Michigan. We know how important this race is to the OEMs, the manufacturers. Ford has dominated at this track over the past nearly decade or so. Now, Toyota's won the last 2 years. Hamlin last year, Tyler Reddick the year before that. But before that, it was 9 straight Michigan wins for the Blue Ovals. 3 of them, Joey Logano. He sits 18th in points coming into this race, just 9 points behind his teammate Austin Cindric. That's a driver I have circled this weekend. Can he make up some ground? I'll phrase it like this. Do you think Joey Logano will be top 16 in points at the end of Sunday's race, Ryan?
I'm going to say no. I mean, this team's just been completely lost in this package in 2026. I mean, he's outside the top 20 in average running position in the same, data set I was just talking about with Denny Hamlin. He hasn't been great at Michigan recently either. 14th in 2023, outside the top 30 in 2024, couldn't top 20 here last year. He's finished at least 7 spots worse than he started over the last 3 Michigan races. So things just haven't gone well here as well. We did see some signs of life at Charlotte, and that was our most recent one, I think we can look at for this type of race. But I don't think it's going to be enough. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, maybe his Penske teammates can pick up the slack. Let's talk about another Ford team. I'll talk about Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher the last few years has finished 6th, 2nd, and 1st here at Michigan. He also nabbed a stage win last season. All 3 RFK cars found themselves in the garage this past weekend at Nashville. Can RFK bounce back here at a Jack Roush and Brad Keselowski's home NASCAR track?
Yeah, I think they can for sure. Brad Keselowski hasn't missed a top 10 here over the last 3 races, and he hasn't started inside the top 10 in any of them. So he can race up through the field and get the finishes here. Priest started outside the top 20, finished top 10 here in his first run with RFK. And then Buescher, as you mentioned, best average finish here over the last 3 Michigan races. In his 6th place finish, he actually started 18th. So he's shown he can come through the field as well, just like his teammates. And I mentioned this because the team's going out a little later, in qualifying, but I think they'll be fine regardless. There are only 3 drivers with top 10s in the last 3 Michigan races. Denny, who we already talked about, then Brad and Buescher. So those 3 guys are the only ones with top 10s in all 3. And if you look at the 4 670 horsepower races I was talking about this year, with Vegas, Kansas, Charlotte, Texas, Buescher and Brad are both top 10 in average finish. So I'm expecting them to find a way to get there again on Sunday.
So Chevrolet is 0 for their last 11 here at Michigan. You got to go back to Kyle Larson when he swept the 2 Michigan races back in 2017. That was Chevy's last Michigan win. That was when Chip Ganassi Racing was still a thing in the NASCAR Cup Series. Though last season, William Byron and Carson Hocevar combined to lead roughly 130 laps in this race. So Chevy's got a fighting chance, I'd say. Who do you think is the top Chevy to watch on Sunday?
I'm going to stick with Kyle Larson here. I mean, if you look at who's been running up front more often on this track type in 2026, it's Larson. He's one of only 3 drivers running over 60% of his laps inside the top 5 in those 4 races. He's with Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick. So he's up there with the elite guys. And obviously it's Kyle Larson, so we know he is elite. But if you look at these Michigan races alone over the last 3 years, he's one of only 5 drivers to have multiple top 5 finishes. It's Kyle Larson and then four other Toyotas. It's Denny and Reddick, who I just mentioned, and then also Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs. So yeah, he's up there. Whether we look at this year or we look at Michigan alone, I expect Kyle Larson to be up front.
Well, you just mentioned a few Toyotas that have run well. Let's wrap up with Toyota. Here at Michigan, Tyler Reddick won a couple of years ago. Ty Gibbs has a couple of third-place finishes. Bubba Wallace was fourth last year, also has a runner-up finish here a few years back. He needs a good weekend to bounce back from a few weeks of struggle. Eric Jones has shown speed the past few weeks. He's a Michigan guy. We started this segment with Denny, obviously. He's a Toyota. He seems to be the favorite heading into the weekend. But who could be some of his toughest Toyota competition?
Yeah, what's crazy is I just mentioned those five drivers with multiple top five finishes at Michigan over the last three races, which is strictly just a Michigan stat. And then if you look at the four race sample I keep mentioning for this year, it's the same exact five guys that are 1 through 5 in average running position. Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson. So I would rank the top four Toyotas in that exact order: Hamlin, Reddick, Bell, Gibbs. And I know it sounds like a broken record at this point, but expect Toyota to be running up front, the majority of this race.
They certainly got it figured out early this season. Well, we'll wrap up with this, Ryan. Dark horse picks. I mentioned Eric Jones. I gave myself a little pat on the back for shouting him out before Nashville. Another solid run for Jones there. Zane Smith, another guy who's been really strong lately, has some good Michigan results in recent years as well. Ricky Stenhouse, someone maybe to keep an eye on. He's made some noise the past couple races. So I'm throwing some names out there, some mid-pack guys. Who do you have an eye on for maybe a top 5, top 10? Who are you watching, Ryan?
Well, someone that I always used to mention in this segment, but then he finally got a win. So I don't know if he's a dark horse anymore, but another, I guess, home track guy here, Carson Hocevar. He was actually my first click, in betting this week. He's my only bet so far to win the race. Just that was a number type thing, but I also just love Hocevar and am not surprised if we see him race his way up to the front. Also love a double duty driver, always getting more track time. So cool, he'll be running the truck race here. You had a great call out with Eric Jones last week as well, and I think we should stick with that one here too. Another, home track guy, I guess we can say. You look at Michigan specifically, hasn't finished worse than 16th here in the last three. Top 10 in 2023, 11th place finish here last year. He actually finished stage 2 inside the top 10 the last 2 times out here at Michigan. So he's hovering around that top 10 area always. And we know what Toyota's been capable of this year and very recently. So if he continues to show this speed, I don't think a top 10 or possibly even more is out of the question for Eric Jones.
Yeah, he has been flirting with the top 10 several weeks in a row. He's sneaking in there to get some stage points. Wouldn't be surprised to see more of the same at Michigan on Sunday. Ryan Stevens, thank you as always for joining me this morning. Fans, you can find more of Ryan's work at wintherace.info. And tonight, Ryan's friends host The Draft on the Win the Race YouTube channel, where they pick drivers from every different team, set their lineup for the weekend. It's all for charity. I know, Ryan, you're not going to be able to make it tonight, right? But you'll be back next week. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll be back next week. So I have Brian Twining filling in for me tonight. I actually took the lead after last week's victory, too. So I'm up to 6 wins on the year. So no pressure, Brian, if you're listening to this. But if you want to tune in, 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday night.
Awesome. Be sure to check that out, folks. Link is down in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ryan, thanks for joining, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Enjoy Michigan, everyone.